Hey everyone, it's like super rainy outside and the weather's picked up horribly, but you know what? It's still time for a lesson. So today we're going to be looking at the simple present tense. It's something that we use to talk about everyday activities and routines and habits. So let's dive in and make this tense super easy and super fun for everybody to understand. So what is the simple present tense? Okay, so it's quite easy. The simple present tense is used to describe regular actions, facts, or things that happen all the time. It's the tense we use when we're talking about what we do every day. For example, I eat breakfast every morning, or the sun rises in the east. You can see that it talks about things that are always true, or it's part of our routine. Now, let's look at how we form simple sentences. Okay, so for most subjects, if you can't remember what a subject is again, a subject is basically the person in a sentence, the important something doing something. So if I say Bob kicks the ball, the subject is the person doing something. So it's obviously Bob is doing something. Now, for subjects such as I or you or we or they, we just use the simple, easiest form of the verb. For example, I play soccer. Not I played or playing or will play. I play soccer. That's a simple present tense. You're using the subject, you're using a simple, easy verb. No fancy attachments, no S's, no E's, no INGs. It's just the base form of the verb. I've got another example. Let's have a look at this one. They, so that's another one that I spoke about earlier. They study every night. Okay, so they are not studying and they will not study. They study every night. It's the simplest form of the verb. No fancy attachments. But when we use things like he or she or it, we need to add two things. And those two things are either an S or an ES. Now, comment below if you think to what we need to add that S or ES. It's not the subject. For example, she plays soccer or he watches TV. Now, if you're smart enough, to what did we add the S and to what did we add the ES? I want to see if you know your parts of speech. Now, I've got an activity for you. I've got a few sentences here, and I would like you to either answer them in the comment section or you get a piece of paper, start to write them down, and I'll give you the examples and the answers later in the description. Now, we have to remember a few things. The first is if we use I, you, we, or they, it's quite easy. The form of the verb is simple. There's no fancy attachments. But when we use he or she or it, we need to add either an S or an ES. Remember those two rules, and then this activity will be super easy for you. Okay, so let's look at the questions. Now, I've made a bit of a typo. It looks difficult to read, but it's not that difficult. You'll see it's I something basketball every weekend. She something breakfast at 7 a.m. He something a book every night. So I would like you to change the verb so that it suits the subject of the sentence. Remember to go back to the description later to see if you did it right. Great, so I think you've just finished filling in your activity and you're ready to move on to the next. So now let's talk about how we use the simple tense to make positive statements. Now, if you can't remember what's a positive statement, it means that something is either correct or something is good, something makes you happy, something is a wonderful thing to hear. It's not something that's scary, like a negative statement. So we're looking at things that are good to hear, which are positive. So let's look at the first one. The structure of this is pretty easy. We follow a pattern. Okay, now remember there's a word we used, subject. That's the person of the sentence. Then we have a verb, and we have lastly an object. So you can see it here. We have subject, we have a verb, and we have an object. Very easy. 3 things. The who, that's the subject. The what, so that's the verb. And then the object is what is happening. So if you are Mr. Gerco, that's the subject. Sits, that's the verb, on a chair. So the object, the literal one object that I'm sitting on is a chair, and also the object of that sentence is a chair. So if you would like to make your own sentence in the comment below, and then make one in this pattern where you're saying this is a subject, this is a verb, and this is an object. Let's have a look at how we can make an example. So here's another example for you. So she likes ice cream. Now, if you're really smart, I'd like you to get your pen and paper. Write she likes ice cream. And then take each of those words and tell me, is it perhaps a noun? Is it perhaps a verb? Is it perhaps something else of parts of speech that you might know of? And try to go in as detail as you can and identify as many parts of speech as you can find. Let's think of something fun. So also think of some fun examples that you can give about your daily life and share it in the comments. Something like, I eat toast. I love coffee. I drink hot chocolate. Those are things we do every day, and everybody has their own thing. Personally, I'm a big fan of coffee. Now we're on to the bad side. So remember, we spoke about positive comments like. The word like means something good. You enjoy it. But unfortunately in English, we also have the negative side. So that's the part where you say you do not like, you do not enjoy. This is something you hate. Like most of you, your homework. Now, to make a negative statement, it's quite easy. All you need is do not or does not. Now remember, don't is a contraction. The word don't, D-O-N, then that little funny mark that you never remember the name, an apostrophe and a T. That's a contraction. It's also part of making a negative sentence. I don't like broccoli, or I do not like broccoli, or she does not play basketball. Notice we use do not with I, you, we, and they. And we use does not with he, she, and it. So remember, if you're always confused, just go back in the video, listen to what I've just said, write it down, draw some pictures. It's going to help you memorize how to look at negative statements of the simple present tense. Now let's create some silly sentences using the negative form. And I'll start with it. I do not like pineapple on pizza. Now it's your turn. You go and make a sentence where you say you don't like something, or he does not like something. You need to make a sentence that's about the negative side of simple present tense. So now it's time to talk about questions. To form a question, we start with do or does. For example, do you like pizza? Or does she play guitar? Notice that he, she, or it we use, and if you're smart enough you can predict which one, it's does. And for everything else we use do. So we only have three subjects which are really important. For example, he, she, and it. Those guys use does. It sounds very complicated. I promise you, it's not. Now, I would like you to go to a family member and either ask them, do they like something or don't they like something? You could even go to your dog and give them perhaps something nice to eat and ask if it would like it. You could perhaps go and ask them, do you like ice cream? Or does your friend play soccer? Now let's look at the common mistakes many people make when they try to use the simple present tense. A lot of people forget to add an S when we are using he, she, or it. For example, instead of saying he plays soccer, some people might say he plays soccer. So you've done very well today. The simple present tense is simple. It literally says the word simple in its name. So that means it's easy enough to be understood by everybody. Remember, the simple present tense is all about now. It's all about doing things today. It's not about tomorrow and it's not about yesterday. We are looking at today. And just like today, I hope that it will be the best day that you've had so far.